Hello beautiful people, my name is Bridget and welcome back to my channel. Hope you're having an awesome day. And today's video is going to be an eyeshadow palette tag. Now I do not know who started this palette tag. If you do know, you can let me know down below. But I saw this on Teresa's dead channel, even though she's very much alive. And today I'm going to do it. So there's 13 questions all about like most affordable palettes, most expensive palettes, one's the best memories for me. And I made sure not to duplicate anything. So we have 13 different palettes to talk about. And without any further ado guys, let's get into it. Don't y'all hate when you like freshly do your hair, like you wash it and you make sure like the ends are nice and like not pokey out, and then you go outside for a second when it's raining and it just ruins everything? Because that's the kind of day I'm having right now. It's been raining for like 5 days and it's gonna rain for the rest of the week, so we're gonna have like 10 days of rain here in Florida and I'm not really happy about it. But let's go ahead and get started talking about palettes. If you're not subscribed to my channel already, I'd greatly appreciate it if you did that. I'll leave Teresa's video link down below since it is where I found this tag from, and let's get started. Okay, so these are all like show us your blah 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 palettes. So the first one is show us your newest palette. My newest palette is the Jeffree Star Cosmetics Cremated Eyeshadow Palette. I did 2 videos on this. I did a first impressions and a 3 looks one palette. So if you haven't seen those videos, I'll leave a link down below for you. But this is the palette itself. Stunning color scheme. I have noticed though after wearing it, so I did the first impressions, I did the 3 looks, and since I did that all in the span of like a day and a half, I didn't like wear these long term, but now that I have, I will say some of the darker shades, they don't wear as well as I hope. Like they don't look great long term, like 8 hours on my eyes. I feel like the grays get kind of weird a little bit, but for like a couple hours of wear, they look super pretty. But I did wear this when it was really hot outside and it just didn't look the best after a while. But I feel like that's most eyeshadow anyways. So this is my newest palette and I'm very happy to have it. It's really lovely. The other day I did like a bronzy kind of look with the bronzy shades, since I didn't do that in that 3 looks video or the first impressions, and I quite like the bronzy shades in here too. So the next thing is show us your oldest palette, and I had to Google this. So it was torn between the Gwen Stefani palette and the Sugarpill palette. I didn't know which one's older, so I looked at reviews. The first reviews I found of this are September 2015 and the Gwen was November 2015. So this seems to be older. So the Sugarpill eyeshadow palettes themed after the 25th anniversary of Edward Scissorhands, which I love. And this is what it looks like on the inside. This is my favorite shadow of all time. You can buy these in singles now. And it's called Ice Angel in the center here. It's beautiful. It's icy with like a blue shift to it. It's very blue actually. And let me show you the cover. Isn't that so cute? I love that movie. I have a giant Edward Scissorhands tattoo, which I'm super proud of. And this is the Ice Angel shade, which is my favorite. But this is the oldest palette in my collection. These still feel really smooth. Maybe the 2 darker shades haven't aged as gracefully as the rest of the palette, but I love it. And you can get it in singles too. The palette is no longer available. It's not available to purchase, no longer available, but the singles are, and I definitely suggest Ice Angel. I also have a single of this as well, just as a backup, just in case anything ever happened to this palette. I'm getting a little tongue-tied today. I'm sorry about that, you guys. So next thing is my most expensive palette. Now, I did not purchase this myself. It was a gift, but I'm still amazed at how expensive this palette is, and it's one of those things that I'll look at and drool about, but I'm like, I can't justify that purchase. So it is $125. It is the Pat McGrath V palette, which is 5. I had to Google it because I don't know Roman numerals, but this is the palette itself. This palette is stunning. Like, look at it. I mean, it's a little messy in here, but look at it. The color scheme is gorgeous. I must say I was surprised at the formula when I first tried this palette, because the mattes are normal mattes and they perform fine and normal, but then the shimmers are so weird. Like I feel like half the shimmers in here are like toppers. Like this is my favorite shimmer in the palette. It's like it kind of looks like a little bit of a disco ball with like greens and yellow hues to it in this icy white shade, which you guys know I love an icy white shade. And then I felt like it was kind of a topper because there wasn't too much base pigment to it, which was surprising to me, but also really pretty. Now there is some fall under the eyes with this, but like whenever I wear this palette, I feel like it better be a good night or day or whatever I'm doing, because it's so fancy and so expensive, and I'm really grateful to have it. And I need to wear this red shade more. I never wear red eyeshadow. Like I'm wearing a warm color today because I've kind of been going back into it. Like I feel like it was a couple years ago, like when Naked Heat and everything came out, that warm colors were really in, but I never wear red eyeshadow, and I think I need to more because it's kind of calling my name lately, and like things like this warm look kind of feeling with like a cool tone lip. It's kind of fun. Okay, so number 4 is show us your most affordable palette, And I've had a lot of affordable palettes before, and also these are just my ones in my current collection because I do declutter a lot. But the most affordable in my collection right now is this one from W7. It's called Dope 2. I did a video, I'll leave it linked down below, comparing Manny MUA's Life of Drag palette to this palette, which is a dupe for it. And this palette is $9.99 on Amazon. This is what it looks like. If you want to see how the palette performs, I do have that video up. But for me, this is the most affordable palette in my collection. It's very, very long, and it looks just like Life's a Drag, which I love the Life's a Drag palette. It's really nice. Number 5, now I said I did not duplicate any palettes in here, so the one you guys think is my everyday palette is going to be in a later question, so I didn't want to duplicate it. But number 5, like, show us your most like everyday palette, and I chose the Goddess palette from Alter Ego. You can use code Porcelain if you want to save money on Alter Ego. It's shopalterego.com, and this is like a go-to palette for me, especially on days where I'm not filming. Days where I'm not filming, typically it's either a really subtle neutral look, this palette, or a green look. Typically it's what I do. So this is the Goddess palette. It's nice, heavy, and magnetic, and it feels nice. It's a dupe for the Natasha Denona palette, but I cannot imagine the Natasha Denona palette being any better than this formula because it's really good for an affordable palette. So this is what it looks like. I just love throwing a neutral over the crease and like a greeny goldy shade on the lid. I feel like it's a super easy thing to do, and it's a lot less bulky than a Natasha Denona palette. I'm thinking of investing in one of those palettes, probably this one from her, just to compare the formula, but that's like a lot, especially for something I feel like it's already been done. But I love this palette a lot, and I just use it all the time. I don't even think about it being a dupe when I use the palette because I just love the color scheme. I think of it as its own thing. Alright, next up, I had 2 that were kind of a tie for this category, so since one fit the other category later on better, we're going with this. The most colorful palette in my collection, the Jawbreaker palette by Jeffree Star Cosmetics. This palette is enormous, but this fun color scheme has so many different resources. Like, maybe let's say I'm using like the gold palette and I want a pop of something a little unique. I can come in here and get it. Typically I only use one palette on my eyes, and that's it whenever I'm filming. But when I'm not filming, sometimes I'll kind of be a little more creative with it. Like today, I'm not using just a palette, I'm using a palette and a single. But most of the time when I'm filming, I'm only using one palette on my eyes, so you guys can recreate it if you like the look you see. And for me, this is one that's really good for resources when I'm not doing that, because it's just, you need a pop of yellow, you need a pop of pink, you need a pop of blue. It's in here. I like it a lot. I do kind of wish that like 2 of these shades were a little better. I feel like the Cotton Candy shade is beautiful in the eyes, but it stains really bad. And then there was another shade I wasn't quite in love with, and I can't remember which one it was right now. But there was 2 shades in here I wasn't too big of a fan of, but overall, gorgeous and super colorful. I don't think I'll ever part with this. I need to clean it a little bit though, because it's a little, you know how I get like a little bit of residue in different shades and it looks weird? I hate that. Next is show us your smallest palette, and the smallest palette in my collection is this little Huda Beauty one. It is the Topaz Obsessions. I lusted over this for a really long time, and now that I have it, I've used it a few times. I really like the looks I come up with. I had the Mauve Obsessions too, and the Coral Obsessions. I decluttered both of those. I did like the Mauves, but it was a lot of mattes. And then the Coral I just forgot to use all the time, but this one I actually get more use out of. This is the Topaz one, and for me, I love this like yellowy orangey shade. It's super, super cute. And then this shimmer right here is easy enough for me to just throw on the lid with any other colors I mix in, and it's super pretty. So this is my smallest palette, and it's really cute. I need to get more use out of it because it is so small. I forget to use it sometimes, but I have gotten more use out of this one than any of my other little Huda Beauty ones that I've had. Well, that was smallest, so let's talk about biggest. Now this is the one that I was looking at to see if it was more colorful, but since it's bigger, we're putting it in a bigger category. So this is the Cake palette by Glamlight. No, technically it's not this big, but it's the only palette I keep in its box because it's a cute oven, you know? It's an oven. But when you take the palette out, it is super big, super colorful, and I love Glamlight's formula and aesthetic. At first, I did not get it. I was not into like, why is everything food themed? And then I learned more about the brand, and I like saw certain things coming out that I really wanted, and I am all about it now. So this is the Cake palette. It's enormous. Let's compare it to Jawbreaker. They're about the same, but this one's a little taller. So this is the inside of the Cake palette. I do like that it folds all the way back and lays flat. That's really cute. And this is super, super pretty. The shimmers in here are so fun. A couple of them are a little more subtle than others, but the matte formula here is really consistent and great no matter the color. Maybe the purples are slightly harder to blend, but overall, so nice. And I just love the shimmer formula. Let's swatch Guava, which is my favorite one here. It's like a pinky with like yellow reflex in here. And it is just, like, it's to die for. That is beautiful. You can't even tell on camera, but it's very yellow. Like when you start in certain ways, it's very yellow, but it doesn't really pick up the same way on camera. And then let's swatch a matte. So this is Ube, U-B-E, Ube, and it is super pigmented. It just blends everywhere. So great palette, but it is enormous. I have to keep it in my big palette drawer. Okay, so number 8 is the palette with the best memories, and for me, this is the only one I could think of. This way. It is, oh, I guess I do keep 2 in the box. This one's also in its little sleeve. It's the Moonspell palette by Lunar Beauty. Now, I love Lunar Beauty's formula. I keep contemplating getting that Strawberry Dream palette. Even when it was on sale, I'm like, I want it. I want to have all the Lunar Beauty palettes, but I don't really reach for pinks that often. So you guys can let me know if the Strawberry Dream is as good as his rest of his palettes. Maybe I'll think about it more, but it's just not a color scheme I reach for a lot, but I still want to have all those palettes, so it's a conflicting feeling. But Moonspell, I feel like I have the greatest memories because this is like, it was a Christmas gift to me, and I'm not used to getting gifts. I'm not someone who's ever gotten a lot of things from anybody in her life. I never expect anything from anyone. I've never had a lot of friends or like, you know, had like a big birthday party with tons of people like bringing gifts and stuff. It's not something I'm used to. So when someone gave me this for Christmas, I really appreciated it because I wanted it so bad, but I didn't have the money for it when it first came out. And it's beautiful. Like the aesthetic is 100% me. And for someone to remember that I just casually mentioned how much I wanted it, even though they weren't into makeup, meant a lot to me. And that's why this is my most memorable palette. And it's beautiful. Like, it's beautiful. I don't use it as much as I should, but it's really, really pretty. I've never had a bad look with this palette. The only shade I'm not like, about is kind of the Kiki dark brown shade. Kind of like, about that shade, but the rest of them are so pretty. And it performs so nicely. And this aesthetics cannot be beaten. I have no palette in my collection that even comes close to the aesthetics of this one. It's beautiful. I love that it looks like a book. It's very unique, has like a fake clasp on it. Everything was really thought out with this collection, and that's one thing I really love about Lunar Beauty is everything feels purposeful, you know? At least so far, because it is kind of a newer brand, but so far everything seems purposeful and I really like it. Okay, this was kind of hard to figure out this one. So this is the palette worth the hype in my collection, and this was difficult because I don't know everything that's been really, really hyped. First thing I could think of when I think of hype is I think of Conspiracy from Jeffree Star and Shane Dawson, but this is the one I thought, like, when it got announced it was being discontinued, that was like, yes, people are reasonably upset about this. And it is the Alien palette by Jeffree Star. Not a fan of the 3D eyes. It makes it really hard to store and stack things on top of. But this palette is so worth the hype. I feel like it is beautiful. I am way more into this color scheme now than I was when it came out, but the formula in this is fantastic. I don't think there's anything in here that gave me a hard time. Honestly, some of these shades in here are really, really unique. Like, I don't have a shade that comes close to Moon Rock. It's like a mossy green, but the texture on this is uber soft. And there's something about this specific shade I don't have another of, even though I have a lot of greens. And then other shades, like I have a huge dent in Area 51 because when I have just purple hair, not a split dye, this is the perfect brow color. So I've made a huge dent in this. This shade Probe is really unique too. It's like a gray, green, blue, brown, like it's all kinds of colors in there. And it's just a green brown shift like you see in other palettes, but it has like this cool blue effect to it and also kind of gray. So something about this palette color scheme is super fun. I wish he would make it not limited edition. I don't know why it was limited edition all of a sudden it's being discontinued, because I feel like if I hit pan on this purple shade, what am I gonna do? I can't find another one. So I wish it wasn't limited edition. Thirsty if it's limited edition. I think that's the other one I got limited edition. I don't care about. This one, worth the hype, worth saving. Ooh, you know what'd be a really good idea for Jeffree is, like, since he did a cremated thing, he does like a lot of deceased, he does a lot of dead stuff. I think he could resurrect this palette and Thirsty if that's the one that's limited edition with it. He could resurrect this palette and call it like a Back from the Dead collection like a year from now, and people would lose their crap over it. Jeffree, think about that. Someone tell Jeffree that, because it's a great idea. Okay, palette not worth the hype, since that one was worth the hype. This one was hard for me. It's the one I'm wearing on my eyes today, which I think the look came out with pretty cute. The blend is not the best in the world, but I didn't want to spend forever working with it because it is the most beautiful color scheme that I own. I hype this so much that I think that's why I'm calling this not worth the hype, because my own hype that I wanted it so bad, and I'm so glad that I have it. But as you guys saw in my review of it, I did a 3 looks video and a review of this palette. It didn't live up to my expectations or the price tag on it, but it is beautiful and I keep using it a lot. It is the 420 palette by Melt Cosmetics. Do not even... I'm the one that hyped this. It has a lot of weird reviews apparently. I haven't watched any other reviews other than my own. I believe I browsed through Teresa's Dead after I posted mine, but I didn't watch the whole video. But the 420 palette by Melt Cosmetics. I want all the Melt palettes. I determined that. Like, I want all the Lunar Beauty palettes, I want all the Melt palettes, but I'm not someone who likes to collect makeup for the sake of it. Like, I have all the Jeffree palettes. That's the only thing I have all the palettes of. And I don't want to collect makeup just for the sake of it, which is why I haven't bought Strawberry Dream. But like, Melt is like a whole new level that I've never experienced. With some of their formulas and some of their stuff, it's so pretty. I'm even wearing a Melt eyeliner today. It's so beautiful and so creamy. But this is the 420 palette. You guys, it has greens, it has neutrals, and it has oranges and yellows. What about this does not say me? If there was, replace this weird shimmer shade with a nice white shimmer, you guys know. They might as well name it after me. But this is so pretty. It is just not worth the hype because it is so much work to work with. You do get a really pretty look every time you work with it a lot, but it does take a lot of effort, and I think for the price tag it shouldn't be that hard to work with, but I'm still kind of a sucker for it. But I agree it's not worth the hype. I agree it's not worth $58, but I'm gonna get $58 worth of use out of this because I just love the color scheme that much. Okay? I'm still under its spell, but I do agree it's not worth the hype. Okay, so this next palette, this is the favorite palette from a favorite brand, and I was just sucking up to Melt but saying it's not worth the hype, and now I'm kind of doing it again because this is the one I thought of. I was thinking of Life's a Drag by Lunar Beauty for this category, for like a favorite palette from a favorite brand, but I love Moonspell and I already had that in there. And then for Jeffree, I didn't really know what was my favorite one. So I went with Melt's Gemini because this is the palette that I tried first from them and I fell in love with so much. And I do get a ton of use out of this palette. I love the greens in here. I just tried the Smoke Show palette for the first time and I like how it swatches. Like, it swatches really smooth. I do feel like the mattes are fine, but like a couple of the shimmers feel a little gritty, but some of them feel so smooth. I still have mixed feelings on that one, but this green palette from them, this green palette from them is the bomb. Like, it is so good. Like, I can't even tell you. Like, let me swatch this green. Let me swatch a matte. This one is Polka Dot. I can't even tell you how much I enjoy using this palette. So smooth, that shimmer. Like, they can do good shimmers, which is weird that the yellow shimmer from the 420 palette, if you saw me using that, it was so hard to use. But like, they have good formulas when they want to, it seems like. People said the Millennial Peak palette from them too was bad. I really like the color scheme on that, but again, I don't really wear pinks. But like, they can do amazing, amazing things. So I'm really into this one and I use it a lot. So this one's totally like my favorite palette from Melt. And lastly, a palette you guys thought I was gonna mention earlier with my go-to palette is the Tartelette and Bloom palette for my most used. Tarte's Tartelette and Bloom palette is absolutely stunning. I've made huge dents. I mean, almost, actually, it's either this one or the Gwen Stefani palette, because I used to use that a ton. And it's got some good dents in there too. But I'm just gonna go with this one because it's already here. This one is, like, I use it all the time. I have good dents in this shade. Even when I'm doing, like today, I used the 420 palette for this look, but I still came in here for this white shade just to dust under my eyebrow and help blend a little bit. I have good dents in this Funny Girl shade too, which is like the go-to shimmer in here. And I really enjoy this palette. Like, the darker 3, I haven't used that much. The warmer 3, I haven't used that much. But this 6 right here, I love this palette. I use it all the time. It's super compact, super cute. I did get it way after originally released, but I would still recommend it to you, especially when 21 Days of Beauty from Ulta comes around. Sometimes this one's on sale for 20 bucks. I would definitely recommend it. Anyways, you guys, that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me talking about palettes. I got a big old thing of palettes to put back in my drawer now. And thank you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed it. I would love to know, like, your most memorable palette in your collection. Like, the one we talked about that has, like, the best memories. I would love to know yours down below. So thank you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're not subscribed, I greatly appreciate it if you did that. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Have an awesome and safe day.